Recording.
So my name is Brie Wells, and this is a piece from my blog when I was asking the question, who am I? This is called The Divorce, Part 1. In my senior year in high school, my class attended a lecture about career options. It sounded really boring to me. Well, you can be a secretary and work your way up to executive secretary and be an important part of building a company. Or become a registered nurse and help the sick. It wasn't at all like that. The lecturer was a Jesuit priest and told the auditorium full of fresh-faced 17-year-old girls it was important to choose a career you loved. In other words, you'd do it whether they paid you or not. I mean, of course you'd get paid, but that wasn't motivation as to why you took the job. He said, when guided by love, there is a freedom gained that people who choose a career to be rich or powerful will never experience. For example, when a person takes a job for money, the desire for the next raise or the next bonus or benefit drives the person, not the job itself. The same goes for power. The constant need for the next accomplishment, award, or trophy diminishes any power gained. He said, if one is guided by the love of the task itself, joy can fill you, and life will give you help from unseen hands at every turn. He reminded us of the marriage vows, to take this person and love them in sickness or health, richer or poor, till death do you part. He said, when you choose someone with this as a guide, nothing shakes your love. Marriage becomes a path upon which to walk together. It was one of the most interesting and inspiring lectures of my school days. It got me to ask, what would I do for the love of it? I talked to my father about it. No, I didn't say the thing about marriage. That would have been crass to talk to a divorced man about his shattered marriage. Hey, what about that death do you part bit? Huh, Dad? Yeah, crass. But I did ask him why he chose the law. He said that his father was an attorney and he admired the skill it took to practice the law. And I asked him about money and he scoffed. Money can't buy happiness. And then he quoted the Bible. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Timeless words even today. But to set up my parents' marriage and subsequent divorce, let's travel back to just after World War II and consider careers for a young woman. High schools prepared students with typing and shorthand skills to pursue office work. Literature and religion assisted in writing and reading skills. Math and science helped with logical pursuits to an outcome. And with the economy growing from the war, with work such as key punch operators, sales clerks, newspaper editors, and reporters, careers in medicine tended towards nursing, but many women became doctors during the war and encouraged others to take the same path. At this time, the ultimate goal for a young woman was marriage and motherhood. However, girls in society were encouraged to marry a good prospect, a good provider, a sure bet. Not much soul or love in that choice. When my mother graduated from high school in 1946, she was considered a very pretty girl with an impulsive streak. Compared to her younger sister, the math genius, who was at this time considering her scholarship options from top universities on the East Coast, Harvard, Vassar, but the Massachusetts Institute of Technology won. My mother didn't focus on school. If she'd only apply herself, her father lecture heard. My mother rebelled against anyone who dared to tell her what to do, father, husband, or relative, so that didn't go over. Her talents were in singing and cooking. With a light soprano, she loved to sing in church. And as to cooking, her cakes, pies, and specialty desserts were a hit at every party and family gathering. But a career as a cook or pastry chef for a member of a nouveau riche upper class family wasn't on the list. Remember, this was in 1947. Cooks weren't the star they are now. To work in a kitchen was a blue-collar profession, socially lower than a secretary, nurse, or a married lady. She entertained the idea of a career in singing, and her father adored her voice, but wanted her to attend college and have something to fall back on if singing didn't work out. They argued. To get out from under from her father, my mother agreed to go to college. And before school started, she met my father through a family connection. Aunt Mary knew a prominent family with a son home from the war. My father was 28 when he met my 18-year-old mother. In those days, an age difference wasn't considered a bad thing. I mean, men were supposed to be mature and able to support a family. But before we go any further, let me give a brief synopsis of my father's war record. When Pearl Harbor was attacked on December 7th, 1941, my father was in his last year of law school at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. Like every qualified male in America, he was drafted. And when he was brought before the draft board late that December, his induction to the Army was deferred until July of 1942. He was instructed to finish law school and take the bar exam and then report for duty. He was given one chance to pass the bar. And he felt honored to be given this time to complete his degree and studied. He passed the bar on his first attempt. And in the heat of August, he arrived at the Mississippi Boot Camp Barracks. Rising to the level of a captain in the Army, my father landed on the beaches of Normandy 3 days after D-Day. Might sound like all the excitement was over. It wasn't. His troop fought through French farmlands from June 9th to August 19th. Liberating Paris, he then marched 579 miles with 150,000 prisoners south to the city of Nice on the French Riviera. Charged with maintaining the health and safety of the Axis army became a full-time job. Not only did the American soldiers want a piece of those responsible for this war, the French citizens, angry over 4 years of occupation and servitude, wanted to exact revenge. But on Christmas Day of 1945, the Battle of the Bulge surprised the Allies, and word spread that the commanders wanted the boys from the northern states, Minnesota, Wisconsin, North and South Dakota, Michigan, New York, and they were trucked to the Italian border to join General Patton and rescue the 101st Airborne Division surrounded in Bastogne. It was reasoned that these boys understood cold weather, and it was the coldest winter Europe had experienced in years. Connecting with General Patton, they pushed the Nazi army back to the Rhine River, where Patton openly pissed in it, and he said, "To let Hitler know I'm coming." When surrender of the Nazi government was imminent, my father was on a team tasked with rescuing German scientists from behind enemy lines. It was a race to find this scientist because the Soviet army was to capture as many German scientists as possible and bring them to Moscow and face Stalin. I need not remind you that in the 5 years my father served in the army, he saw more death and destruction imaginable. Dead cows, horses, pigs, men, women, and children filling the air with the smell of death. Many of his friends lost their lives in that war, and he, like many men, received a Dear John letter before crossing the English Channel to land in Normandy. And I'll stop there.